Hey everyone, welcome back to a Puddle Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at a photograph by Caro R of a sculpture by David Altmejd. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at this incredible crystalline texture, and we're also going to explore influences of surrealism. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, we see a multitude of vague forms and just an incredibly detailed composition here. Your first impression is likely one of shock or awe, so you wonder what exactly we're looking at. And so one of the first things you're going to notice, of course, is the impact of texture. We see this quite clearly, right? This crystalline texture, it's just countless, it feels both rough, but also lighter in some areas as well. Of course, the use of plexiglass truly does that. This, of course, gives us a vivid visual energy, which kind of invigorates the canvas and excites the viewer's visual experience. It's incredibly important here. Another thing you may notice, of course, with the nature of kind of crystalline and glass forms is the impact of light. Light and color here are just second to none, and it's very hard to miss, right? The majority of the canvas is kind of a bluish green, and you have kind of an accent of a reddish orange, if you will. That definitely draws the eye. It just possesses this piece, and just like texture, gives a sense of visual energy as well. And so, like I said, you see this crystalline nature to the work at hand. And this piece was actually a photograph of a sculpture, and so it's made of so many different things from, glass, plexiglass, all the way to feathers, plaster, so many different mediums and materials that were involved in creating this work here. And so, like I said, we're looking at a photograph of a sculpture entitled The Flux and the Puddle by David Altmejd. This is actually in Quebec. So Quebec, Canada, extremely important museum and amazing curation as well. Actually, I have a photograph of the original sculpture. I'm going to bring that in real quick and compare it to this kind of fragment that we're offered here. Alright, so I got a photograph of the original sculpture here. You can see just how much detail and just how complex this surreal sculpture truly is. So when looking on the piece on the left, of course, we have a much more unique perspective there. And compared to this shows a sense of near symmetry, kind of standing in alignment with that. In creating this one, in creating the sculpture, David Altmejd works with so many different themes, and I actually have a description, give us some insights and see what we can learn here about this original sculpture. Alright, so I jumped over here, so we have our description. We're going to see what we can learn about this original sculpture here. So this is a direct quote. He said, quote, "I wanted to combine my early werewolves, some birdmen, and some recent bodybuilders, for example, and build a sort of operatic drama. I didn't know what shape it would take, but I imagined war and sex. As I worked on the sculpture, everything in it became more and more fragmented and abstract. What interested me at this point was movement and flux, hence the title, The Flux and the Puddle." So we certainly see that sense of movement, say in the photograph here, you see a translation through time, what appears to be like, and then of course that fragmented nature, it's just second to none in a definitive element of this display. There is no doubt about that. So, he quotes, imagine war and sex, and also, combining werewolves, combining bodybuilders, so many different things that went into creating this work. It's incredibly complex. There is no doubt about that. And it actually was kind of a loan to the museum in Quebec. So that's pretty interesting as well, of course. A very large sculpture. There's actually a video on YouTube where you can see kind of a time lapse of them creating it. It's just absolutely stunning how much work goes into create such an artistic expression as this. It's just, it leaves me speechless, to be honest. The amount of work that goes into these displays, it's just absolutely amazing, and it's always a pleasure to study that. So yeah, in that description, he was talking about returning to his roots of, say, previous sculptures and incorporating that into the final product. I think we certainly see that here. And due to the nature of such, fragmented, surreal scenes, it is elements of surrealism as well. So it's just greater than life, and it even has elements of absurdism. You look at it, it feels like if you're stepping into a dream of some sort or another, if y'all know what I mean. And another thing I wanted to mention is the impressionistic nature of this work, right? It's not distinct, going back to surrealism, for example. There is just a gesture of some things or another, or a fragment of something or another there. So kind of an impressionistic nature that I just wanted to mention. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. I originally saw this photograph and I was like, wow, this is how did they make this? I had so many different questions. And in talking to the photographer, she told me that, she took this picture while visiting that original sculpture there in Quebec. So it's absolutely stunning. And I'm really glad I found this work. David Altmejd is a career sculptor. There's no doubt about that. And he's been featured in so many different galleries and has a lot of sculptures that are also displayed in the public to this very day. So really hope y'all enjoyed today. If y'all enjoyed this episode, go check out the original artist, David Altmejd, as well as the photographer Caro R. She does some amazing work, especially in the world of photography, native to that realm of expression. So, like I said, really hope y'all enjoyed today. If y'all enjoyed this episode, go check out both original artists there. Both are doing some really good work. And of course, David Altmejd is a career artist at this point. So yeah, I really hope y'all enjoyed today. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.